This is it. What I'm going to share with you in this video is something that I've been looking for a long time on the PC. An easy solution to fix the black floor on the games so you don't get washed out colors like this, but at the same time to remove this color tint that the developers are adding to the games, and it looks absolutely terrible. We see it time and time again. Starfield was probably the worst offender, and everyone was able to notice that. It just looks green all the time, and it's horrendous. But we have Cyberpunk, you name it. Almost every game that comes out these days, it has a terrible tint or color filter all over the screen, and not only near black. When you go outside, it looks kind of yellow and messed up. This is the solution. It is so simple. Just one click, you get the black floor fixed, but also that color tint removed. Let's check this out. Let me get this out of the way. Look, before, after. Before, after. Now, here's the thing. Even more impressive. You see, sometimes we have games like this where you have black level rays in places, some places like this, but then you have perfect blacks sometimes. So you cannot fix the black floor because then when you go some places, then you're crushing black. So then there's no way you can fix the game. If you lower the black floor, you're crushing blacks. And also, when you just lower the black floor, this green-blue color tint becomes more saturated, and it is even uglier, especially if you just lower the black floor with TV settings. It looks even more messed up. But of course, I much rather have perfect blacks, even if it has an ugly color. But the beauty of this shader that I'm going to share with you is that it fixes the black floor dynamically while at the same time removes the color filter, and at the same time you have the option to not touch the midtones and the highlights. So you're not just lowering everything. The rest of the game can look the same, and this shader can respect the luminance if you want to, even near black. So, for example, if you don't want to lose that brightness, you can keep your black level rays if you want, because you think that's better. I don't think it's better, but if that's what you want to do, maybe for a multiplayer game, you want to have more visibility. Well, multiplayer game doesn't let you use a reshade. But you just want to have more visibility for some reason. Maybe you're playing under lighting conditions, for example. You can still fix and remove the tint, but respect the original luminance of the game. So this is absolutely amazing, and it has been in front of me for a very long time. But of course, we need to test everything, and yeah, it is all about discovering it. The thing is, with Reshade, we have so many options that is overwhelming. And the solutions are there, we just don't know it until we try it. So the shader that I am hyping up, because I think it is a game changer, absolutely. It is this PROD80 01 BRT correct color, okay? That's the one. So now, let me go over the settings of this shader and also adjust my camera settings so I can show you where the game looks bright, because right now it's just gonna look blown out. I have to adjust the camera settings for that brightness difference, and we'll go over the options that we have on that shader. And by the way, these are the settings for Jedi Survivor. Now let me show you some before and after here, where we can see that difference on the white balance of the game, if we can say that. the color temperature, everything. It's just fixing the color grading of the game. So you see here, before, this looks like piss all over the screen. It looks yellow. After, it looks correct. It looks like they remove what they messed up with the game. It is such a big difference before, after. Now, of course, my camera is not going to pick up the white balance that I see here. It's not gonna be the same, but trust me, before looks yellow. It looks like what people complain about when they use accurate settings on their TV. They think, oh no, I want to use a cooler color temperature because the games are looking bad. Well, it's the fault of the developers. It's not your TV settings. It's because they're doing this and it looks terrible. You see, before, after. This looks so much better. It's not even close. So now let me show you here what's going on. Let me show you the options we have with this shader. Of course, you have to install Reshade on the PC. I'm sure most of you know, but if you don't know, it's very simple. Just download Reshade, link in the description of the video. You just go search where the game executable is, and you have to install this PROD shaders, basically. So you have these options. And I am also using the Lilium shaders, HDR shaders by Lilium. So we can use the HDR analysis tool to check the black floor and all of that. So now with this new for me, it was there the whole time, but it's so many options that you don't know. You don't have time to test all these settings. So it was there the whole time. I never tested this before. I was trying to accomplish the same thing manually. And I'm like, there has to be something that I can use here. It's a lot easier. So here it is. So with this PD8001B RT correct color, you just have to turn it on. That's it. But now here are the settings that you have available. You can basically respect Luma, which is respect the original brightness of the content. This works for SDR and HDR too. So everything. You can respect that for the midtones or the black point or the white point correction. So you have those options. So what I like to do is to not respect that for near black. So for the black point correction, if you click respect, what's gonna happen is the black floor is still going to be raised, but it's not gonna look green at least. So you are removing that color tint that looks very ugly from the game, but you still have the black floor raised. Or if you don't respect that Luma, what's gonna happen is awesome. It will dynamically fix the black floor. So for example, if we have black level raised suddenly, and then on another scene, because some games change scene by scene, or depending on the dynamic tone mapping that the game is doing, adjusting the exposure, let's say, sometimes you're gonna be crushing blacks like crazy. So you have this thing changing. How can you fix that? This will dynamically adjust the black point perfectly, while at the same time fixing the color filter. So it's gonna look neutral. Absolutely awesome. So that's what I would do. I would just enable this thing and uncheck respect Luma where you have the black point. That's it. That's all you have to do. Now, of course, I use the HDR analysis tool to fine-tune this a little bit, this black point correction strength. I reduce this a little bit to get perfect blacks because I am also using PROD80 03 curved levels, which is a shader that I've shared with you before many times. I've been using it for a long time. It is very useful when you want to get more visibility near black. Okay, so when I am using this correct color shader, I'm getting perfect blacks, I'm fixing the color filter, but I still want more visibility near black, so that's why I am using the 0.3 curved levels. So with this shader, what I do is I change the toe position X and toe position Y. So the toe position X, I usually adjust it like 0.03, around that value, and the toe position Y to 0.05 to 0.09, depending on the game. So the bigger you go with the toe position Y and the smaller you go with the toe position X, you're increasing the near black visibility. But I don't like to go below 0.03 on the toe position X because it is just too soon to start raising the blacks and it looks kind of weird sometimes. So this is very useful also because you can have, with this shader, you can have this line. Let me see if I can enable this here. Okay. You can have this line that shows you what you're doing. So with this line, which you can see at the bottom right of the screen, let me see if you can. Well, actually, let me adjust the camera here, because I hope you can see better there. So with this diagonal line, you have the reference, it will be the perfectly diagonal line, and then you have that curve, which is what you are changing with the setting. So if you just want to increase the visibility near black, you do these two, toe position X and Y, and you can see it here. So if you do it too much, for example, and you are affecting the mid-tones too much, then you can change the shoulder position X and Y to fix that. And it will go like this, for example. Like this, see? In that way, well, no, I didn't change anything really. Because I don't need to change anything here. I didn't do too much to it. But yeah, that would be a way to reduce that effect on the midtones. So you can basically try to just increase the midtones and just keep everything else the same. But in this case, I didn't change too much the midtones. So I just keep it like that for this one. Although I am raising the visibility of the midtones, but that's okay. It looks good enough. And then on this game, I'm also using Lilium's tone mapping to get more brightness because I need 2000 nits. So then for that, I just come here and enter the maximum peak brightness that the game is trying to output without using the tone mapping, basically. So I come here. Let me remove this first because this is going to be affected by the HDR analysis tool, so it's gonna affect the reading of the peak brightness. So what I do is I come here and disable the tone mapping, and then I am going to read, for example, here it says max 1374, 1383. So you have to keep playing the game and testing to see what is the actual maximum peak brightness that the game is trying to output. And then that's what you're going to enter here in this Lilium tone mapping. You're going to enter that value here under maximum input luminance. And then on the target luminance, you're going to enter the peak brightness that you're looking for. Now, in this case, because we are trying to actually increase the brightness, this maximum target is not going to be like perfect. Like if you set it to 2000, it's not going to give you 2000. It's going to give you a little bit more, but it's not going to be perfect. It does work perfect when your maximum input luminance is bigger than the target luminance. So then it will work perfect. But if you're trying to get more brightness than what the game is trying to output, then you have to play around with this target luminance and keep increasing it until you get what you are looking for, depending on your display tone mapping and the brightness. So that's what I am using in this case to fix this game. But here, the biggest difference is definitely that color correction. Now, as you can see here right now, it looks like the black floor is raised, and it is. And the reason is I am respecting the luminance because otherwise the visibility becomes too low. But if I come here, and if you want to try this, you can also, and also depending on the game, you can also come here to this correct color and not respect the luminance. For the midtones, you can come here, use, let me see, it would be this one. Actually, this is increasing the, yeah, it is not crushing that. It is not crushing that, actually, it's making it brighter. But yeah, I don't think that's a problem. But if you would like to then crush that, you could use the HDR Black Floor Fix shader, and then you could enable SDR Black Floor emulation. This one is not it's not working now because the order of the shaders matter. So I might have to have this one first, maybe. This one is not working for some reason. Well, you know how PCs. I would have to figure it out. Maybe because I have this enable black floor lowering, which you can also use. You can do this and increase this number. See how I'm lowering the black floor? Now when you see that it starts breaking up, you have to increase the roll-off stopping point a little bit. And then you can increase this more. So of course there's many things you can do, and the thing is the order of the shaders matters. So you might have to play around and okay, let me try this one. You see how it changes? If I have that HDR Black Floor Fix on a different place, it definitely makes a big difference. You see, the order matters. So yeah, when you start mixing up all these options, it can get complicated. That's for sure. So yeah, you can spend as much time as you want. But the thing is, as long as I have perfect blacks on the game and I can remove that terrible, look at this color filter. See, before, after. It is such a big difference. I mean, I don't really understand how these developers think that's a good idea. Let's take a look at this. Here before, after. Before, after. We are removing that ugly yellow pixie tint all over the screen. After. Before, after. Such a big difference, man. The game just looks like fix. It looks awesome. But of course, it is up to you. You see, I am getting perfect blacks many times. You can see the minimum CLL here on the HDR analysis tool. I am getting 0. The black floor is very good. It doesn't have to be perfect all the time, especially when you are outside or you have a brighter scene. It's okay if you don't have perfect blacks. And of course, keep in mind that the UI, every time you see UI on the game, that might be giving you perfect blacks when it is not. For example, right now, there's a UI element here that is giving us perfect blacks, which is this. See this here? So you have to remove the HUD elements to do this test. So you're sure you're reading the minimum. Because here, we don't have perfect blacks, it's just the UI. This thing popping on the screen. So you have to keep that in mind. But there you go, man. This is absolutely amazing. Now, one thing I forgot to mention. It's kind of a big deal. This is not free in performance, okay? It's gonna cost you some frames. Let's check this out. See if you can Oh yeah. You can see the FPS counter here, but I have the game locked to 60 FPS. But you see my GPU is at 95%. If I turn that off, it goes down to 84%. Okay, so that's a massive performance penalty. I should have said that at the beginning because maybe that's not as exciting. But yeah, that's like a 10% difference in performance. Pretty massive. But yeah, man, I would definitely sacrifice that and lower some settings because this just looks so ugly. I don't care how many frames I am getting on the game or how high the resolution is. If everything looks yellow and green and messed up, yeah, man, this is so awesome. Now, if there is a solution where I don't lose performance, yes, I might use that. But the problem with this game is that sometimes you have perfect blacks, but sometimes you have this ugly black level race with a color filter. So there's no way you can fix the black floor dynamically. Not that I know of. This is the only way. With this way, it will always fix the black floor dynamically, so you will not get crushed. And that's exactly what we need here. This is absolutely amazing. So yeah, I think though that we should have perfect blacks even on a scene like this. The perfect black should be on the shadows everywhere, and we're not going to get that with this unless we keep tweaking and doing other things. But it's okay as long as sometimes I have perfect blacks on the game and the visibility is okay, I'm okay with it. But this is not perfect, I have to say. I should have perfect blacks here somewhere because there's a lot of shadows, but it doesn't look washed out at all. It looks awesome. It looks really, really awesome. And here, you see, as soon as I move, now I do have perfect black. So you see, it's just a matter of the color grading or tone mapping of the game. It's just the way, you see now that the black is raised because you have light. So as soon as you have light and they increase the visibility, they do it for everything. So that dynamic exposure change that they have going on here is a real mess to deal with when you're trying to fix the game. But I think this is an awesome solution. Again, this is going to work for SDR, HDR, every single monitor, TV, LCD, QD OLED, WRGB, whatever you're using to play the games. This is awesome. So let me know your thoughts and opinions if you tried this and if you have any questions.